Hello everybody. So we are going to work on some of the accessories for some of these Renfest girlies that we're working on. And so that's this crew here. All right, if you've been following me along, you know I've been working on them for a while. And I figured out these little baskets. Now there's a really good tutorial already up on YouTube, so I will link it in the description box below. But she doesn't talk in it, so I'm gonna do it here and I'm gonna talk it up. So I'm gonna move these out of the way. These were a couple of the early ones that I did, and I've kind of got the system down a little bit better now. So I'll show you how that works. Just get these out of the way. So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need some floral wire. This is 26 gauge. The tutorial I was following used 22 gauge. I really don't think it matters. Now this was some I just had laying around and it's got white paper on it. And I kind of like that because then I can like color them and make them whatever color I want so they match my basket. But if you just get some like kind of generically brown ones, that'll work too. So, and who knows where I got these from. I've had them literally forever. So floral wire, I've got 5 pieces here so that I have enough to do my project. You'll want some scissors for cutting paper and scissors for cutting thread. You'll need a pair of nippers for cutting the wire. You will want a measuring device of some sort. So I've got my little metal ruler so we can measure things. Again, because I'm using the white paper, I've got a couple of markers here so that I can color them the color that I want. Some super glue of some sort. I have some gel glue, which I actually don't recommend, but it'll work. It'll do the job. And then you want some waxed thread. Now the ones that I've been doing, I've been using 2 different colors. You can certainly do all one color, whatever you prefer. These other ones that I've worked on have all been kind of a natural kind of, straw kind of color that I've been working with. This one I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to do this dark bluish green with a little bit of pink highlight. So I think that will be kind of fun. Hopefully we'll be able to see it against this background. I didn't think about that. All right, so we will get started. So the first thing I need to do is, again, I need to color these. This is a little bit of a pain in the tuchus, and it does take a second to do. But again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just annoying more than anything else. So what I do is I just kind of lay them out. And I grab the brush end and I just run it down. And this doesn't have to be a perfect match. You just don't want it stark white. Some kind of color that's in the same color family as your thread, as your waxed thread, will work. And you can get all these materials on Amazon. The waxed thread was a gift from somebody very kind. All right. I'm going to flip them over to the other side. Flip to the other end. Alright, that works. And you can always touch it up if you find little spots here and there as you go along. So I'll leave this on hand. And again, it's not a perfect match, but it'll work. It'll be fine. It'll all blend in. So now I need to cut 8 pieces. And I go about 12 centimeters. Because we're working at such a small scale, working in centimeters just makes more sense to me. It's a more precise measurement for small measures. Alright, so we need 8 pieces. And they don't have to be exact. Like if they're a little off, it's fine. You're going to be trimming these down anyway. I can generally get 3 and a little bit. I don't want to get exactly 3 out of these because sometimes the ends of these are a little raggedy. And then when they're short like this, you can see spots you missed a little easier. Alright, there's our 8. So the rest of these I'm going to set aside, and I may or may not use all of this. The rest of this is going to be used for like handles. Don't sweat it if you don't use it all. You can always save them, but I like to have a little extra just in case. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to kind of size these up and check them out. See if there's any spots I missed. That's about as good as it's going to get. So now, let me get a fresh piece of paper down so you can see what I'm doing. This is just so you can see on camera what I'm doing. Alright, just kind of straightening them out. If you get a heavier gauge, like a 22 gauge, you won't have to go through this step, but mine are really bendy, so I have to be kind of ginger with them. We're going to do 2 bundles of 4, and you're going to lay them out in a cross. So you want these fairly straight so that they'll lay flat next to each other. So they're going to lay flat next to each other and kind of close. So again, because these are so flimsy, they're a little difficult to do, but we got her. Alright, I'm going to take my glue. I am going to use my little piece. I'm going to grab a little bit of this glue. And I'm going to put it about in the center. And I'm going to lay these out. Alright, and we're going to give this a second and let it dry. Stick this down in the center and let it get into that tacky glue. Like I said, it's not perfectly dry, but it's getting there, and the glue is really tacky. So I want to make sure that this has a good chance of adhering. Alright, so it's starting to set up, so it's starting to stick. And I'm going to do an X wrap. So I'm going to do, just to kind of get it started and lock this into place. So I'm going to come around once this way and once this way. And just that little X will kind of lock this into place. Alright, so now that I've got my X done, now I'm just going to over and under. Just do a basic over and under. So over, I'm going to catch that little tail end, under, over, under. Just once, and that really locks this into place. Alright, so now I'm going to split these into 2s, and I'm going to kind of bend them out so they're nice and even and create like a star. Alright, and then one more pass. So, and I do a little bend in this one so that I remember this is my starting point. So I'm going to do over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and I'm back at my starting point. Alright. Now I'm going to split these open one more time and get into the individuals. Now we have an even number of spokes, which that means when you do the over, under, you're not going to get a basket weave because you need each alternating row to go either over or under. And with an even number of spokes, it's always gonna, each one, like this one would always be over, this one would always be under. And you don't need that. You don't want that. You want them to alternate. Make sure these aren't twisted at the base here. Alright, so I'm going to see where there's like a little bit of a gap, and I'm going to add a spoke in. That's what this little shorty piece is good for. Let me get this pressed into place. Okay. It's a little fiddly when you get started, but once you get it going, it goes really nicely. And again, a thicker gauge wire would really do me some benefit. But again, I'm using what I have. I'm always a big proponent of use what you have. So that was over, under. Just keep going. Pack it in towards the center. Pull it nice and tight. I'm going to trim this one down even a little bit more. And if you see yourself making a mistake, you can always go back through and see where the error is and just redo that part. And you're going to go until you get your bottom as big as you want it. So I'm just going to keep doing this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I came back around to my bent one, so I know I'm at the beginning again. And it really helps if you have something about the size of that you want to make your bottom. So let's see, I think I was using, a Guterman's thread before, and that's about the right diameter. So just keep weaving it until you get it the size you want it. But this is about where I want mine to be. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this spool of thread. Oh, funny, the thread's about the same color. It matches. But I'm going to just bend all these spokes straight up. Try and get them as straight as possible. And this is where you see how even you did not get yours in the center when you crisscrossed your wires, but that's okay. And again, you can kind of move these around a little bit to get them nice and straight. And you can trim them down if you need to. If some of them are a little long. Some of these are a little long. I may trim them down. Just because they're a little unwieldy when they're this long. Just to make my life a little bit easier. Don't trim them too much though. I'm just evening these out a little bit. Alright. Just to make my life a little easier. Alright, and then, and then you just keep going. Just keep weaving. So we left off here. So now I'm going to go up instead of out. But it's the same movement. And again, these can be a little fiddly when you're first starting out in the first row or so. But just stick with it. You'll get it. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more rounds until I get where I want to do the color change, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've built up a little bit here. I'm just going to kind of smoosh it down a little bit. Get it as even as I can. And you know, it's a hand-woven basket, so there's going to be a little wonkiness here and there, but you want it to be as even as you can get it. And now and remember I have this one, oops, sorry, I'm off camera here. So I've got this one bent one. All right, so I've come back to center on that one, and I'm going to trim my thread, and I'm going to leave it kind of long for right now. I can go back later and trim it a little better. Nippers aren't the best tool for that. All right. And I really like these skewers for this. I got a flat end that I can come in and kind of smoosh my end down. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to smoosh it down. The wax coating will help this kind of smoosh down a little bit to keep it out of your way. I'll also put a little drop of glue on this to hold it in place. So for this, I'm going to use a little bit of my Fabri-Tac. Now my Fabri-Tac is starting to firm up. I haven't been using it much lately, so it's kind of goopy. It's not in the best condition, but it'll work for this. I'll pick a little bit of that up and put it down on my string here. So now that gives me a place to start my pink string. So I'm going to come out here and I'll take my string and smoosh it down into that glue. And again, don't worry about if these tails are a little long. You can trim those off later. Just want to get this started. Alright, so now we do the same thing just with our pink, and this will be a little easier to see the process because the pink has more contrast against these uprights, so we'll see this come together a little bit more clearly, I think. So again, it's gonna look chaotic for a really long time, and then it's really gonna start to look like something. And so now I got a decision I gotta make, right? Like, how much taller do I want this to be? If I do too many more rows of the green up above here, then this pink is going to be kind of more centered. Do I want it really centered? Do I want to worry about, is it too close to the top? Is it too close to the bottom? It's not as tall as this first basket I made. It's probably a little closer to this second one. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it's pretty close to that one. And that's a nice proportion too. I like them both. I like both proportions. So maybe I'll leave this one a little bit shorter, like that yellow one, because I'm really liking this ratio of the pink to the green. So I'm going to end this here. So I'm just going to cut my thread and glue it one last time. To the inside. And I'm going to give myself a decent amount of glue because I'm going to do a little bit of gluing here. So I'm going to glue my end down. See if I see where it is. There it is. There. Going to put it in place. Put a little drop of glue in there. Pinch it down with my finger. Get right where I want it. I'm gonna move all these down where I want them. And now I'm going to glue these ends. So I'm just gonna give this a little run of glue all the way around first, so I can trim this and not worry about these little, and I'm off screen, So I'm going to run around and give this a little bead of glue all the way around so I can trim these and not have to worry about them coming undone. Again, my glue is really reedy. All right, and then we trim. Try to trim them flush, but not snip the threads. Just a little bead of glue is gonna keep the thread from popping up and over and it unweaving itself. Alright, so there's that. Snip any of those that are kind of sticking up. Alright, so there's the meat and potatoes of our basket. So now what we will do is we want to finish that off. So I'm going to grab, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a braid around the edge to give the basket a nice finished look. As you can see, this has got this nice braid, so it looks like a braided edge. So, and you can do that in either the pink or the green. I'm going to do the green because I think that looks nice. So I'm going to take three different lengths. And this is where, I will need to take breaks because my thumb is still not completely healed. If you didn't know, I injured my thumb doing all this hand sewing actually for these projects. So I've had to rest it and wear a brace, and it's been kind of fun. So my left thumb is still a little sore, so I will have to take breaks while doing this, but I'm going to get this started. And I want this as neat and as flat as possible. Alright, and so that's plenty of braid, honestly. I get obsessive and then I'm like, oh, must finish braid. But that's more than enough. So I'm going to tie this end off. Alright. And I just look for a length that's pretty regular. That looks pretty good. And we're just going to glue it to the lip like that. So again, we're going to need some glue. That's what I use for a lot of my book building, my bookmaking, and I just haven't been binding any books lately, so my glues are starting to dry up. Alright. So I want it just this top row to have a little bead of wet glue. go through and kind of straighten anything out, clean up any glue, even out the top edge so it's more or less straight. This also is when I'm going to go back through and see if I can snip any of those threads. So this is where let me get back on frame here. So this is where I started and stopped my braid. So this is where I'm going to put the handle, because I can kind of disguise that a little bit. And then, like, you don't want that as being the front of your basket, right? So if I put that to the side where the handle is, then it's never going to be on the front. So we'll put that on the side. So we need to make the handle. That's where one of these comes into play. And I'm just going to cut this into 3 pieces. About as long as what we did originally. So somewhere around 12 millimeters. All right, and I'm going to twist these together. Now, if you've got a hardier wire, you might not find the need to do this. My wire is very thin, so I really need to add some bulk to it. This is another opportunity, by the way, to do a contrasting color. You could do your handle in your contrasting stripe color. I'm again going to do it in the green, so I think that looks a little more cohesive. I got that rolled up, and I'm just going to kind of roll it out just to kind of even it out a little bit, flatten it out. All right. So I'm going to take my green thread, and you could, you could do a dot of glue at the beginning, but I'm actually going to start my thread this way. So I've got my loose end under my finger, and I'm going to start wrapping it towards me. So I did one wrap, and now I'm just going to wrap this all the way up. And I want these wraps really tight, right up against each other. And this is, again, it starts off a little wonky. That's okay. The wonky end will be hidden inside the basket. You'll get the hang of it, and you'll get it nice and smooth. And the smooth part is what you want for your handle. So if you find out it's staying lumpy, just undo it and restart until you can get it nice and smooth. And again, I'm just feeding the string. I'm keeping my fingers on it to keep tension, and so I can feel if it's going on smoothly. All right, so near the bottom, I'm just gonna snip it, and I'm just gonna do a single knot. This doesn't need to be as secure because I'm going to glue this down pretty much right away. So I just need to tie it off. I do want to tie it off a little closer to the wraps than that. There we go. Alright, so that's tied off. And I'm going to snip this down. snip this end down. Alright, so this is my handle. And I used my old friend, the spool of thread again. And I don't know what I'm going to do if I ever go through this spool of thread, because I have used this one for the circumference, the diameter, I guess, of my handles, almost all of them. So let's see, how's that look? Not too bad. And so you can shorten it if you want a little shorter. It's a little tall, but I really don't mind it. That's actually not too bad. The proportions aren't bad. Yeah. Kind of like that, because again, these are kind of like a little handbag. Alright. So I'm going to trim this thread. And I mean, I could shorten it a little bit. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I'm just going to call this good. Alright. So I've got kind of fitted into place. So I'm going to put some glue in there on either side of the handle. And like, feel free to go to town on the glue with this, because you want this handle to be secure. So my glue fell over. And it's on the inside. You're not going to see this. Okay, so grab a needle with a nice big eye to it, but you want it to be pretty sharp. So a darning needle is fine. A yarn needle is probably not. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch these handles on. This is just, I mean, you don't have to do this. This could be done here. I like this look because, again, it looks like how a basket looks, you know, a handmade basket looks. So this is a detail I'm going to add on. This could be in your matching yarn or string, or it could be in your contrast string. I'm going to try it in my contrast string. I have not done that yet. So you don't need a long piece. So this doesn't take a lot. This isn't actually structural. This is just purely decorative. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to come out right next to our handle and the braid. And then we're going to come up. So this is where having all that glue on the inside helps, because you can pinch that down into that glue on the inside. I'm going to come around the back of the handle. And I'm going to come back through to create an X. I'm going to go straight through. And again, it just creates that little decorative element that kind of helps really sell the handmade basket look. Alright, so I'm going to trim my thread again. And press that into the glue. And there is our really cute little basket. Isn't that adorable? And if you want to do a bigger basket, of course, you would just have longer pieces of floral wire. If you wanted a shorter basket, smaller basket, you would do shorter. Right? Isn't that adorable? All right. So I hope that was helpful and fun. Let me get this on a doll for you. And there you have it. With just a few tools and a few materials, you too can make these adorable little baskets. And when they fully dry, they are really pretty sturdy. And then I like to take just a little piece of fabric that coordinates with it, just a little scrap. Because at festival, at least when I worked there, what we would do is we would use these as our purses. And so you'd put all your personal stuff in there, and you would cover it with a fabric of some sort. So I like to put just a little piece of fabric in there just to kind of cover all of my personal stuff. And there we go. Voila. So now she has her basket and she's ready to go out into the lanes and enjoy her day. All right, so there is our girl with her gorgeous basket. You can see it matches her little mug. That will be the next thing that we will go over, is how to make these cute little mugs that I've made for all of them. It's ridiculously simple and I think you will like it. That's a really fast project. All right, same thing with these little fans. These are really cute and fun and easy as well. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks everybody for watching. Do all the great YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, share. Thank you to my DeMedici Patreons. That is Michael Cagley and Tara Meldrum. You guys, I couldn't do it without you, and I can't do it without everybody. So please come join us in this wonderful community that we're creating, and I will see you next time. Bye.